ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very first episode of Recovery by WorkGain. I'm your host, Aaron Ballone, and today joining me is our co-host and our very first special guest, Dr. Boris Fedoric. It's great to have you here.
Wonderful to be here, now that we've got the camera recording.
Oh, yeah, don't go into that. Beforehand, we had some trouble with the camera and everything, and we just tried doing a take just now, and obviously the viewers probably won't see it, or, maybe if we upload like a bloopers reel or something, but there was a lot of problems. We tried running a take beforehand, and then we hit, and then Boris asked, is it recording? And then it was this whole thing, and it's like, oh, great, but
it is now.
Yeah, it is now. We're all good. We should be good, but it's great to have you here, and it's great to get your insight onto what our topic will be for today, which is the history of WorkGain. Because Dr. Boris is the director of WorkGain, so he oversees everything in this company, organization, I should say, not company. And it's great. It's great to get his insight on like why WorkGain is different, and what the idea of WorkGain was and how it came about. So I think that's a great first question to dive into. What is WorkGain? Like, what do they specialize in, and what makes them so different?
Simple question, but a very long answer.
Yeah.
So in about 2016, 2017, my business partner, Toby Roberts, and myself, so he's a physio, I'm a rehabilitation counsellor, we started thinking about how do we close the gap between your medical management and return to work.
Yep.
Generally, a lot of people that they've had some sort of a personal injury or disability, you go, if it's from a physical perspective, you go through physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and then from there you go into work.
Yeah.
A lot of people are finding difficulty to realize the gains that they made in a gym type program, lifting weights or pulling pulleys and that sort of stuff, and doing those exercises to their actual work.
Yeah, of course.
Because they always say, my work is unpredictable. What about if it rains? What about if this falls? What about, lifting 6 meter long plank of wood is not the same as lifting a dumbbell. Or
of course. Yeah.
If I'm using a jackhammer, where's a jackhammer in a gym, and that sort of stuff. So although gym is absolutely fantastic and has its place, what we found with a lot of people is they had difficulty to relate that to their work.
Yeah.
And when someone has difficulty to relate, you have this uncertainty, you lack confidence, and confidence is a big thing.
Yeah.
So you go, well, can I do it or can I not? I'm not sure. And then sometimes if you're not sure about certain things, you can just delay your recovery and progress and so forth. And even doctors that have to certify you, they're not sure if you can actually do that or not. Then you try it out, your employer's not sure. So what we thought is if we could actually have a facility where we can simulate those tasks. So if you're a carpenter, and you've got to cut the wood and assemble a first fix or whatever, let's do that.
Yeah,
in a controlled and safe environment, supervised by Allied Health.
Yeah.
If you're a truck driver, here's our truck. Go and drive it. If you're a forklift driver, here's our forklift. You want to weld, here's a welding bay. So there hasn't been a job or a task that we haven't been able to simulate as yet. So we thought, let's just create that. And it's worked great. And I think it provides ability for people to themselves lead their rehabilitation, because we believe that people are experts in their own work.
Yep.
People are experts in their own body, in their own physical and psychological abilities. And we always approach this from a perspective of, what would you like to do? How do you think we can tackle this? Because we've got a platform for you to do whatever you want. How do you think you'll do that best?
Yeah, of course.
Because, you live with this sort of stuff every day, and for us to try and understand how that may feel, it's a very difficult task. So we always kind of empower people to do themselves. And there's a lot of hesitation potentially at the beginning, and, all sorts of things. And, I remember when we started with this podcast, there was always a bit of anxiety about the whole thing, but here we are now. And that's the whole idea.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And there's a lot of preparation that goes into, planning stuff and pre-planning and mapping it out and brainstorming with podcasting. Because I remember one time when I was here, one session, we had the whiteboard just here, and we were writing ideas of what we could cover and talk about. And
we moved it over there. It's still
there.
It's
in the office.
It reminds me of what we need to talk about.
Yeah, we just had a whiteboard and we were just writing ideas of what could possibly, we could possibly talk about and what we could possibly cover. And I think until now, right, until being here at WorkGain, I think I never understood the grand scheme of things and how hard it was and how mentally taxing it was planning for these types of things. Because, you see all these podcast videos and you're like, oh, it looks so easy. Like, they make it look so easy. But it's really not. It's not.
You know what they say, all the gear but no idea, right?
Yeah.
You can buy everything. And
Yeah.
It's not about having a fancy microphone or a headset or whatever. It's what you do with it.
Yeah. Also, for the viewers watching and people listening, we're not just joined here by ourselves. We have Scott, who is our sound engineer and one of our very special people helping us with this podcast, who is sitting behind the scenes. So we thank Scott for being here and thank him for helping us with everything, because it makes it so much easier. And it's just great to have him here. He's a great vibe and he's a great person. But
take that.
Yeah, but getting back to what I was saying about, like, it's so mentally taxing because, like, because you never think, you gotta plan, like, okay, we gotta get this, we gotta make sure this is right and this sounds right, and it's just so much like focus is needed and so much like determination, because you go to try something, you're like, all right, we'll try this, all right, we'll try recording with this, we'll try tweaking this a little bit, and then something gets thrown off and you're like, well, great, now I gotta like try and figure out a way around it, and I gotta try and like fix it and make it sound good or make it look good. And then, some more problems could arise, and then it just becomes more and more taxing and more annoying, and it just drives you up the wall because you're like, I just want this to be done.
That's the whole idea, though. Like at work, nothing's going to be just simple and easy.
Yeah.
So you've got to learn how to troubleshoot. When something happens, you just got to go and say, okay, well, how do I fix that? And that's the beauty about the work simulation, because we simulate, and like to say, is good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
Good, most of the stuff, nothing much is going to happen. When it's good, when it's bad, you go, okay, well, there's a heightened risk here. But then when it's ugly, it's like everything has just gone wrong.
Yeah.
Can my body physically and psychologically cope with this?
Yeah, of course.
I think that's one of the other fundamental differences of what WorkGain or work simulation at WorkGain is that there's this alternative pathway that people generally take from, if you can't relate yourself from a gym program into work.
Yeah.
You can potentially do volunteering or what people call work hardening, but that's going to another host employer where you can actually try and do some work within your capacity. And that's fine, but a lot of people feel awkward going to someone else's employer or somewhere else to try and test their capacity when they don't know themselves whether they can actually do that or not. And the interesting part about work simulation is, and that's why it sets it apart, is that we actually simulate those high-risk environments. So if you think of, let's say, I don't know, aged care work, when someone needs to take someone for a shower or they take him for a walk in a corridors and someone suddenly faints or falls, what do? You're not supposed to catch him, but just natural instinct is you just go and do that. Or in showers. So literally we go in a wetsuit and go in a shower. You haven't seen it yet, but you can maybe record that. And we pretend like we drop. So you obviously start slow and you start leaning against that person and testing their physical abilities and so forth. And then once they're ready, you can actually prepare for that drop. Yeah. So it's those sorts of situations. And generally you're not going to do that in just any random work hardening setting. Because employers would be like, well, why would I be exposing you to that risk? Whereas for us, we understand that each job carries its risks, whether that's physical or psychological, and you need to prepare people so that you can build their confidence. You go, I've done it. I've done it 5 times. I've done it 10 times. Now I actually feel confident in my body that I can do it.
Yeah. So,
and we've done this about 67 times. So
yeah.
Should be confident.
Yeah. So just from what you're saying, I can gauge onto the scope of things that, WorkGain is really based on hands-on approach, like a hands-on practical approach. So that was going to be one of my questions, actually, like, what does hands-on look like? And I think you've answered that, really. Like, you put the client to the forefront and you really put their needs ahead of, in a sense, ahead of your own. Like, you really make sure that their well-being is number one priority, and you make sure that
it's got to be safe.
Yeah, safe, of course.
Nothing starts here without safety.
Yeah, of course. But like you make sure that the clients, are priority number one, and that they're getting the most out of what they want to do or what they're striving for. And then you always help them strive to get that. And I think that is what more organizations and more companies really need. Specifically, more companies in this industry. They need to do more hands-on approach. And I think that is the best approach that you could have taken, because it helps create a better environment as well. Because I think you've told me in the past, I think you've told me something similar in the past, the bad environment, you could have the best company standards or whatever, best company morals. But if you don't put the clients first, if you don't put the clients at the forefront and the customers at the forefront, then what's it all for?
Well, yes, in short, how can you make someone do something they don't want to do?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just never going to work.
Yeah.
I've got 2 kids and trying to put them in bed at the right time, it's never going to work, right? And you'll think, oh, that's just a benign situation. It's not really that stressful. But, come on. So when it comes down to actual work, or, someone's had a physical injury or disability and whatnot, you've got to now go, okay, well, no, go and do that. It's never how it works. It always starts with, when we had that original chat, we went, okay, what are you interested in? And if you know that that's a great idea, well, let's run with it. But if you don't know, we'll go, okay, well, can we have a bit of a discussion around your interests, your skills, and what you like and your hobbies, and we'll come up with that.
Yeah, of course.
But it always starts with you.
Yep.
Because you know what you need to do for yourself to go to the next step.
Yep.
Right? You know best. And you know what the limitations may be. You know what the positives are. And we just use that. So it has to always start with that person. And from hands-on approach means even talking is a hands-on approach. But hands-on with us means we'll get down and dirty with that person and do that. Because we believe we also need to learn what that job is.
Yep.
This morning, for example, you can go and do some carpentry work.
Yeah, of course.
So I go and do carpentry work. In the afternoon, I could be a concreter.
Yep.
In the afternoon, I could be a truck driver.
Yeah.
Or I could be whatever, crane operator. We can do all these things here. So when you're working with someone, you actually feel the same forces on your body that they need to feel for that particular work. And once people realize that, well, you actually now know how that feels, it's very different conversations that we can have. But if we just keep talking about what that task is, it's very hard for me to understand what you mean when you say, erecting a marquee. I'm like, I've seen those tents before, but what does it actually involve? I really don't know. Let me try it out. So once I start getting those poles and spanners and whacking it, and you go, oh my goodness, this is actually hard.
Now I know,
Then you know how to appreciate it. And that actually enables people to then relate much better. And it goes down to even clothing that you wear, steel caps and jeans and just a basic black t-shirt, You've got to relate to people. You can't have that difference between, I'm just going to sit here and I'll tell you what to do. We found that over the years that approach provides a limited scope.
No, and I think doing what you do now is very much clearly the better approach. Because it's like you said, doing that previous type of approach is very limited. And you guys as an organization, you want to grow. You want to be able to expand, want to be able to grow, want to be able to get more out of your clients.
Want to be able to sleep.
Yeah, but you want to get more clients in and get more traction, which I think doing, the hands-on approach that you've done is very clearly the way to go. And I think it's...
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting point that you raise. We're allied health, and I can't speak for everyone, but I know that what we do and what we do really well is that we're really good at getting people back to work or getting their careers and that sort of stuff. We can simulate the work. So we're pretty good at that stuff. We are really crap when it comes down to marketing. Right? So we always tend to think that marketing is just one of those things, like a sales pitch or whatever. But it's more than that. So when we talk about, when you mention getting more clients in, someone may think of that going, okay, well, that's just, a sausage factory where it comes in, comes out. But it's actually deeper than that. And it took us a while to realize this, but when you think public health, your treatment is only as good as people actually know about it to use it. If someone says these, whatever, electrolytes are really good for you, if you don't know that they're good for you,
then you're not gonna.
You're not going to know. You go to your doctor, you go, okay, well, what's good for my cold? And they'll tell you what it is. So you've got to find a way to communicate this to people. So in effect, that if you don't advertise or market or showcase, and I think advertising and marketing, I think it's in healthcare is just such a bad word, but just raising awareness. I think raising awareness is really good terminology to use. You are not doing a service to people if you don't raise awareness.
Yeah.
Because, if you didn't, somehow you didn't know about this place, we wouldn't be here.
No,
we wouldn't be doing this awesome stuff. So, and what you are doing through this is you're actually raising further awareness for somebody else. And I think you mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, yourself, that you would like to see people come through because you know how much you have actually grown in just such a short period of time.
Yeah, no, like exactly. Like, no, I'd love for people to discover WorkGain more because I think this environment and what I'm about to say will actually kind of fill in the question I had for you already. But the environment here it's really, really great and it's amazing. Everyone is, it's like you said, we're all a big team, and in a theoretical sense, even more than that. Everyone is here to help you. Everyone's here to push you up and bring you up and really be there for you and help you, achieve what you want to achieve,
We pushed you on the first day, mate. Can you do this thing? Oh, really? He's a teleprompter. He'll be all right.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, there's a little bit of banter, of course, but there's always good banter anyway. But no, I think the environment here is one of the best aspects of being here, because when I come here, I always I'm always coming upstairs, and I'm always greeted by yourself and Tony, and it's really great because it makes me feel seen being here, and it makes me feel inclusive. Like, it's a very inclusive environment, you guys, being here and making sure that, like I said, the client's well-being is put first, and, how they're...
It's also very natural as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think naturally comes, if you try and, force the environment...
It's not going to be authentic.
And that's why I think that's an interesting point, that there's a lot of similarities between various people that come through here, and everyone has their strengths that you bring into all of this. Talking about sound, we have that ability to have the expert have a look over this voice and go, okay, well, you guys, try and pitch this or do this and lower that. So everyone brings their own unique attribute to this.
Yeah.
The next moment we could be doing something else together, but how does this all come together is that people benefit all around, but are involved with that. And I think that
everyone learns from everyone. Exactly.
That in itself creates that environment where it's all like that team or camaraderie that actually grows from that. And we're very lucky that it just grows so naturally.
Yeah.
And people that come through here are absolutely great. Everyone wants to be here, and it's a place where that positivity rubs off on everybody else. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like you said, everyone wants to be here. That especially, fits me because I'm looking forward to coming here every time. And, it's like last week when I couldn't come here on the Friday and I told you that I was a little bit unwell. I really was, like it wasn't good saying that because I wanted to, I wanted to come down, but then I didn't want to.
I also appreciate being not sick.
I didn't want to, I didn't want to risk getting Boris sick or Tony sick. So I thought, I'd stay home for the day. Well, not stay home, but like...
It almost makes you feel like you're missing out on something, isn't it?
Yeah. But now you spoke on environment, and I know this question is brought up a lot, right? Because, it's always talked about, especially a few years ago. But, I feel like environments change over the years, as they do. And I feel like WorkGain's no different to when COVID-19 was around. And I know this question is asked, dozens and dozens of times, so it's probably a cliche at this point, but like, how was WorkGain affected during COVID-19, and like, how did you push through it?
Well, that's a blast from the past. So labor market has changed.
Yep.
A lot of things have changed.
Yep.
Not just because of the COVID-19, but also with the whole artificial intelligence and everything else that's out there in terms of a tech space. You look at, people that are the unemployment rates, all that sort of stuff. It's very different. The nature of the work, there's a lot more people that work from home now. Your treatments sometimes are done now with telephone and videos and all that. So it's a lot of difference. So although it sucked, obviously when it came about, but it has potentially brought up some interesting changes in the way that we do things. But unfortunately for us, I mean, we kicked off in 2018, and then shortly after, COVID kicked in.
Yeah.
So you've got this new startup, which was something that was completely new and different.
Yeah.
So you've got to essentially convince that this thing is going to work.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to start something new, when everyone else thinks about the pandemic, it's really, really, really daunting. And I remember even, because we had the base at the airport in Adelaide, and I remember driving or walking here, and there's airport, and there was nobody at the airport. It's just these eerie scenes.
It's like a graveyard.
It's just apocalypse.
Yeah.
And a tumbleweed just kind of goes through, and you see it, and it goes, oh my goodness.
Yeah, because no planes were coming in and out.
Yeah, but we pushed through. And what got us to push through is the initial focus why we wanted to do this.
Yep.
Because we said, all right, are we happy to part with all of this, the finances that we put in if this doesn't work? And our answer was yes.
Mm.
And you go, well, that's just crazy. Why would you do that? Because we knew that the state, South Australia, needed that gap to be closed. We knew that the people would benefit from this. And that's why we did it.
Yeah.
It's the people that were coming through at those days and those times that actually got us through it. Because it is very psychologically taxing to start a business, and then you have a pandemic. I mean, go figure that.
Yeah.
But it's seeing the outcomes in those people that were coming through that's what really pushes you and gets you going. And to us, and to this day, is really what motivates us, is actually seeing someone become independent, become rehabilitated, walk out of this door and say, actually, thank you so much. That worked, right? That's our payment, and that's what we really strive for.
Yeah, that's the end goal of everything.
That's the end goal.
Yeah, and it's like you spoke about how it was so hard, being a business during the pandemic, and I can't relate from a business standpoint, not being a business owner, but I can definitely relate because I was, when COVID hit, I was in high school, and when COVID swept through all the schools and everything, and all the schools had a closure because no one, it transitioned to online schooling. Oh. That period was so, it was so annoying, and it was so, it was harder than regular school, because I was already struggling hard enough with procrastination in person. So the fact that COVID hit, and then online schools came in waves, and then all these students had to do their tasks online and had to talk online, and there was really no boundary supervision from in-person teachers and co-workers and whatnot. So that boundary wasn't there, so it made it easier to get off track and just made it easier to do other things and not worry about assignments. So it made it really, and also the connection wasn't there, the personal connection, which is what I've always thought that humans need. We as humans, we need physical connection. People say, oh, no, I'll be good being alone. Yeah, you may think that, but from a biological standpoint, humans need contact. Because the majority of the time, humans without contact, they lose their mind, they lose their sanity. They start to become animals. And it became really hard because that physical contact wasn't there, and it's well, will this ever end? Will we be able to, ever go back to physical learning again and be able to interact with teachers again like that? And luckily, we were, but during the time, it was there was unanswered questions, there was no set date of when this would end and when this would push over, and it, in a way, it was a bit of a scary time because we didn't know what was happening and it was all new. And
well, that's a lot. I mean, a lot of that can, like you said, you don't know it from a business standpoint, but from a personal standpoint,
Yeah.
What you've just described is really what you see in everyday occurrence here. Because when people get injured or hurt, or they've got injury or disability and so forth, it's sometimes very hard to see the end.
Yeah.
And what's the outcome? What's the goal going to be?
Yeah.
And that can be daunting. So you think of that, kind of that pandemic mindset.
Yeah.
And after injury and disability, these things could actually be permanent, because you go, I don't know where I'm going to go. And you can live for 6 months or 12 months in this uncertainty. Is this injury going to recover? Is my job going to be there?
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. That is directly what we see here all the time.
Yeah.
And providing that, like you said, connection or a rapport, and providing a facility where someone can actually simulate and test this out, brings them much closer and takes them out of that uncertainty and brings them much closer to that outcome. So that's very much relatable in terms of what you've experienced from the perspective of just being, isolated, unsure, and not knowing if you can go back to how it was before. And that's what a lot of people that have had workplace injuries or motor vehicle accidents, the first worry is, am I going to be able to go back to what I was doing before?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's very much relatable.
Yeah.
How does that affected you in those final years of your high school?
I feel like, that's also a good question. I feel like COVID affecting physical learning and shoving everything online, and that contact being gone, it definitely shifted my view of like the world and my view of learning, because I was already starting to not like high school and not like the classes, because I was starting to find it all tedious. And then COVID just made it worse. It just it just pushed everything to a I don't want to do this anymore type of place. And I was only going to high school to see my mates. I did the work because I had to. But I wasn't.
If you had a podcast back then, that would have worked.
Yeah, it would have most likely. But nah, it made everything worse. I feel like in my back end years of high school, I feel like it would have been a little bit easier had COVID not been a thing. But COVID being a thing really didn't help. And then there was a time in year 12 where I actually got COVID, and I had to stay home for a week, which wasn't fun. But it was very, very hard, just trying to push through and still wanting to do the work and still wanting to be there. And I just started to give up, and I was actually threatening to drop out of high school because the work just became too tedious for me. And I don't like tedious work. And if it wasn't for NSSO in my high school, I wouldn't have passed year 12. So
well done.
Yeah, well, thank you. But no, I am.
Well, you're doing very well with tedious things now.
Well, yeah, but that's because there's no KPIs here, and there's no, you guys don't put any, you guys try your best not to put any stresses on me, and you leave everything up to me and allow me to have the final say. And it really helps because in school's a different environment. You have set times and set accomplishment dates, and it's just well,
and that's really interesting because a lot of people work differently.
Yeah.
With some people, if you put strict timelines and KPIs, it's not going to happen because all you think about is, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get there?
I'm one of those persons.
Yeah. And it's difficult. Whereas here, this is, hell of a lot of moving parts that you've got to do here. And
yeah, but it's more practical. And I've always been a practical kid, That's one thing. That's one thing that I really love is practical work. I have I guess disdain is the right word. I don't like theory work. I don't know. I know theory work is the backbone to a majority of things, but it's just one of my Achilles heels. If you put it, I'm a very, very practical person.
But there's ways around it as well.
Yeah.
I just saw someone just earlier today where the same. They mentioned the same thing. They said, look, if I was to read this forklift textbook, which is, 200 pages long, I would just flip it.
Yeah.
But I said, well, what about if we actually do 10 pages at a time, but without you actually reading this first, we'll show you on a forklift what that is, and then you read those 10 pages.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like ultimately you would have read those pages.
Yeah.
But it's which order that they come through.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And people like to see the relevance of what you're doing. I was the same in school. If I couldn't see the application of what I was reading or studying, it was very difficult to grasp that concept. Same here. When people go, okay, can you develop a return to work program and can you do it in 4 weeks?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. How long is a piece of string? Like there's so many different things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what we like to say is we'll love to do it tomorrow if that's a possibility and you'll do your best. But some people are practical. Some people are theoretical. Some people like to work in this environment. Some people don't like to work in that environment. There are so many different variables and you can't have a cookie cutter approach, especially not when it comes down to rehabilitation where you're already dealing with a situation when it's not pleasant. I always say after injury or whatever, you end up seeing, these doctors, these rehab people, and it's artificial situation that you're just being placed into and you got to find your way out. Yeah. And it can be very daunting. And there's all this, I got to do this disappointment, I do this. Someone's going to pick me up here. Someone's going to pick me up there. It's full on.
Yeah.
So here, what we try and do is give you that control. So you can go, okay, I'm now getting a sense of control back so that I can kind of slow things down. It allows me time to process.
Allows you to clear your brain more easily and clear your thoughts.
And it becomes more fun.
Yeah.
And you want to trigger those dopamine and those pleasure chemicals to start going, well, oh my goodness, I've actually done this. I've achieved something.
Yeah.
Because I always say injuries, they don't really necessarily care about administrative burden. So if you say, oh, you must do this in 4 weeks, well, your nerves grow at a certain rate per day.
Everyone's different.
Your healing goes certain millimeters per day. All of that is different from person to person. Yes, there's some standard things, but there's also factors.
Others,
whether you smoke, whether you don't smoke, whether you do this, whether you do that. How do you know?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's best to always come through, assess it, try it out, and work from there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. You talked about pushing through during the pandemic, and I think that's a perfect, segue into, my next question is like, what does the future look like for WorkGain and like, what's the end goal?
Future for WorkGain and the end goal. Great question. We don't know. No, we do. Look, the idea is that, so we always started WorkGain on the premises that we wanted to accelerate work-specific rehab in Australia.
Yep.
So we want really everybody to be doing work-specific rehab.
Yep.
Where we want to see WorkGain in itself is we want to be able to raise awareness to as many people that need this
of course,
as possible.
Yep.
And we would like to really see everybody that needs it go through here.
Yeah.
How do we know that we've achieved that? I'm not sure. But I think, hopefully with doing things like these and raising awareness between the people, we can actually help those who need it. So for us, I don't really see, us as being everywhere and so forth. But I think, one thing we would like to do is have something that's purposely built for us, where we've done a lot of research and development over the years. So we know exactly what works, what doesn't work, how much or how little infrastructure do you need for certain tasks and so forth. So I think having something that's purposely built for us and we can develop it from scratch would, I think, really be ultimately the next step we would like to go. So that would be pretty interesting.
No, that's good. Yeah, it's good to have that type of end goal, really push for more customer interaction and really more, clientele type of, approach. And it's like I said before, it's
for us, it's the quality of the service. Really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The better the quality of the service, the more customizable service is, the better outcomes people
of
feel.
course.
So it's not, this place has never been about a volume for us because we are limited with the space. So we are limited with how many people you can actually have at one particular time.
Yep.
So it's always been a quality game rather than a quantity game.
Yeah.
But also, like I mentioned before, we need to do the right thing to make sure that we have raised the awareness and reach those people who don't know what we do, that place like this exists, and that potentially could help. I mean, I've seen someone this morning who got hurt about 6 years ago, and only now they found out that we exist. And we often get this comment, "Oh, I wish I knew."
Yeah.
You know, you were there, or I wish I was here earlier. Yeah. We always get it. So I think for us, what that means is that it tells us that we need to do more. We need to do better in terms of raising awareness.
Yeah.
So that's really the outcome. The ultimate outcome is have something that's purposely built for us.
Yep.
That's something that's our own, and then reach as many people as possible so they know that there is possibility. And also, you know, whether people come right now or later, at least it's knowing that there is somewhere you could potentially go to maybe get better or improve or get some direction. So it's like, it's good to know, and whether you need it or not, that's up to you to decide.
Yeah, no, and it's like you said, you know, I wish that I was here before, and that happens in everyday life. Not.
Did you wish you were here before?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Who wouldn't?
There you go.
But no, that type of question is said all the time in everyday life.
Yeah,
you know,
we always hear it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I wish I was here before. I wish I'd done that before, but it's mostly for, like, you know, regrets that we have. You're like, oh, I wish I'd never done that. I wish, you know, I did this instead of this, and, you know, so, but while it is like you know, that's a wake-up call that, you know, we need to be doing more, in a sense, you know, I wish I was here before. It with this, you know, organization, it's a sense of like, oh, we're doing something right. This is like, we're doing something right with the clients, so they, you know, that they like being here, that they wish they were here, you know, in the past, and I think that's really good, you know. I think that's really, really good. And you mentioned about meeting someone today who had an injury 6 years ago, and I think that is a great, you know, like, it's a great topic for my next question is you know, what's you know, doctoral advice you would have for someone recovering from a workplace injury, trying to get back into the, you know, back into the workforce, or, you know, back into any job that they have?
Well, from a rehab counseling point of view, we deal with confidence issues a lot.
Yep.
So we normally see, if we're talking specifically about workplace injury, we normally see that, you know, if it's a physical injury, starts off as a physical injury, but then it kind of develops into something that's a bit more psychological or psychosocial. And then we see that impacts the confidence, fear avoidance, all those sorts of factors
of course,
that occur. So, you know, there's probably no one-size-fits-all advice. As, you know, we know WorkGain is not about one-size-fits-all.
Of course,
but, you know, my advice is always to ask questions. Because we often find that people go, oh, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that.
If you're not sure, ask questions.
Ask questions.
Doesn't hurt to ask questions.
You know, ask what my diagnosis is. Find out what this diagnosis is. Find out what you can do, what you can't do. Find out. So just keep asking questions and get the answers to anything that you think of. You know, they say there's no stupid question, a bit of a cliche. In this sort of personal injury or disability or whatever that scenario is, always ask questions and get the answers that you seek. Because then you have clarity. People without questions, you don't know the answer to what it is wrong.
Of course.
And then you start thinking, and then you potentially start catastrophizing, you start worrying, and then one thing leads to another, your confidence goes down. It
creates this big ball of just things you don't want.
Self-doubt, and that's the next step. So my best advice, ask questions. And from there, once you get the answers, start acting up on those.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really great. You know, it's really good to ask questions. You want to learn as much as you can, because a doctor can only do so much. You know, they can help you, like, with
pretty much take responsibility yourself.
But a doctor can only help so much. Like, they can help you with a diagnosis, they can help you prescribe medications, or help with help book surgeries, or help surgeries, or whatever. But it's also up to you as the client to really push yourself to wanting to get better. You know, you can't.
You've got to, because you know, no matter how good the clinic is, or no matter how good the rehab center is, there's only a short amount of time that you spend over there.
Yeah.
And most of that other time is that you're on your own.
Yeah, of
so
course.
you've got to, my another view of mine is that we need to make people be independent.
Yep.
We need to create independency. We need to enable people to do them.
Of course.
You do you.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, key approach. What we try to get out of this place is that you want to be independent. Once you leave, you know exactly which microphone to get, you know exactly which program to get. You can do this on your own.
Yep.
You don't need anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really everything to do with, that's really the end goal with everything is you want to help the clients really become more independent and become more directive with what they want. Yeah. And I think that's perfect. I think
that's the whole idea.
Yeah, I think that's great. That really is great
because everything is learning. We learn from you.
Yep.
You learn from us.
Yep.
And we are there on the same timeline.
Mm.
Your time is the same as my time.
Yeah.
What you choose to do with your time, I choose with my time.
Yep.
They're two different things. But once we're here, once we're sharing that moment, that is our time that we're spending together, learning from one another.
Yep.
And although, you've got a few questions written down, all the answers and responses are just a natural conversation.
Yep.
It's actually what I'm thinking, what you're thinking, and we're talking about.
Yeah. The questions are the only scripted part of this.
Absolutely.
Like we've run into issues filming this right now. Like, so it shows how unscripted it is. But yeah.
You cannot prepare for everything.
Exactly.
And I think we need to, another thing is when I said before about asking questions, ask questions and act upon those answers and build resilience.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than thinking, what if, is this going to be it? Is that not it? When you don't know what it is, then you run into the problem of reduced confidence. But what we want to do is build resilience and build independence. Yeah.
And if you can't, if you can't do it on your own, like if you can't do what, you've been advised to on your own, if it's a bit too difficult, then get help. Like, as one as they may be, but like, help it's good. We all need help sometimes. Us as humans, we can't do everything by ourselves.
And help is a broad term as well. I mean, help could be just an idea or a conversation that someone has with you and you go, hey, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
That's help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. And for those of you viewers that are, or that may be recovering from a workplace injury and wanting to get back into the workforce, you're not alone. There are others that are just like you that are struggling as well. And it's okay to, be affected by it. It's okay to show emotions by it. Just keep pushing, keep striving, and, you'll get back out there in no time. But, yeah, just like me and Boris were saying, just ask questions. There's no stupid questions when it comes to this type of stuff. So, I think coming off that, I think that's a good point to end the episode, I think.
Sounds great to me, mate.
Yeah. But thank you, everyone, for watching or listening, wherever you're listening or watching this from. It's been great to have you. It's been great to have you, Dr. Boris Fedoric. It's great to have your insight into the industry of health and rehab, and it's great to have this conversation with you and learn more about this industry as a whole. And
pleasure.
Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be millions of other questions, and we can cover these off in subsequent.
Yeah, well, when they arise, we can definitely cover them. But thank you guys so much for watching and so much for listening. If you liked this episode, or liked this audio of the episode, wherever you're watching it, chuck us a like if you're keen, and share it around, give us a follow or subscribe, because I'm pretty sure this will be on YouTube. So yeah, and if you're, like I said, if you're keen and you're up for it, we'll see you next time. Thanks. Goodbye. I am here with someone who has graciously decided to allow his time to talk about workplace injury and how it has affected him. And I thank you for your time so much to delve into this personal experience and how hard it is, because I've never had a workplace injury, but I know it can be hard. And they are a WorkGain in client, so I think that makes it so much better. So thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I think that's just a good first question. Because you have expressed how you have unfortunately been a victim of a workplace injury. So I think that's a great first question. Like, how was the process of, like, when you found out that I'm going to be out of work for a while because of this?
Well, it wasn't my first injury. I've had a lot of injuries in my life. However, I'd got to that stage, I'm nearing 50 years old.
Yep.
Had been in a new relationship for maybe 6 months.
Yep.
Where my partner has a daughter.
Yep.
So there's still some financial responsibility of, taking care of someone else and contributing to the family load. Much different to when I'd injured myself before, where I'd been by myself and I was responsible just for myself. I was able to live off a bit of a tighter income.
Yep.
More modest income. And there was a lot of pressure there.
Yeah.
And, I didn't have all the answers. Because I've had been on work cover once before, and it was a very, very long time ago. And the system is a little bit different, but, my memory had waned on sort of how difficult it can be.
Yeah.
And how challenging, and that side of things. And it took a long time, a good 6 months to, nearly 10 months, before the challenging process of claim being accepted,
Yeah.
Problems with the employer, and actually returning to work, to realising, well, hey, no, I'm not returning to my work now. What does this look like for me? And by that time, I'd spent a lot of time at home, not focusing on my recovery as much as just dealing with the work cover side of things.
Yep.
Which is very challenging. So you don't really, unless you're prepared for it, you don't really have that time to reflect on yourself and say, well, what does this mean for me? Where can I go now? What do I do now?
Yeah.
You're kind of in this limbo of a waiting game of, am I going to be returning to the same type of work? Am I going to heal? What does the future hold for me?
Yeah.
And when I don't think I actually got to that point until I came here to WorkGain.
Yep.
I met Boris, and Boris really asked me those questions. So, who are you? What do you want to do? What are your strengths? What are your life experiences? Like, as I said, I'm nearing 50, and I hadn't really thought about it. I was happy with my manual labour job of painting.
Yep.
I felt quite physically strong. There was always pain every day. It's that sort of job. It's physically demanding.
Yeah.
But I keep myself fit, and I was fine. But you have this sort of, you've got money in your pocket, you've got friends, you can go hang out with your friends.
Yep.
You've got certain, I don't know, it's a sort of confidence, I guess. You've got this confidence of being physically fit and
Yep.
And happy. You've got everything you need. You can live your life. And then when you realise that your body isn't what it used to be anymore, and you're like, well, what does that leave me now?
Yeah.
What do I have to offer? What can I do? Where do I fit in this world?
Yeah.
I found that very challenging. To sort of sit here and go, well, I do have a lot of skills. I'm blessed like that. I'm someone who, I can do a whole lot of different things quite well. But finding out where I can put those skills into a workplace environment is something I just didn't have a foresight for, so to speak. And Boris and the WorkGain team has really helped me with that. I was very anxious about coming here. I didn't really know what it entailed. And each time I've sort of voiced that to Boris.
Yeah.
And he really puts your mind at ease. He's like, well, it's no pressure.
Yeah.
Just come here, we'll try this, we'll try that. And, when he talks to you about who you are as a person and what you enjoy doing and where your strengths are and your, what you've learnt over the years and your experiences you've had, it really delves into what you could actually do with what you know. He really puts it into your hands to go, I'm excited about this, or I'm not excited about that. And when you talk to him about your skills, you see his brain ticking over and he's like, we could do this, we could do that. What about this? What if we did this? And he's just like, he's all over it. By the time you come in for your next session, he's already got everything together that you were talking about last time.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
I've got this opportunity here, and it's like, how can I make the best of this opportunity?
Yeah.
It changes your way of thinking. But the whole experience of a work injury, it really tests your resolve.
Yeah.
Like you thought you were confident before, and you realize maybe I'm not as confident as I thought I was.
Yeah.
And something, just interacting with Boris as well. He's a very confident person.
Yeah.
And it is someone I feel like I could learn from.
Yeah.
A lot about life from Boris and WorkGain. And I think I'm feeling quite optimistic about the future now.
Yeah.
Whereas I was quite lost for a while there.
Yeah, going through what you went through, it can be a scary time.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, you lose yourself. And you lose who you are in a way. And it can be very scary and very daunting going back into that environment, especially the same environment that you got the injury from, because you got all these thoughts running through your mind. You're like, am I going to be safe? Like, will it happen again? Like, will it get worse to the point where it's going to do more damage to me? And I think that you pushing through that and actually, wanting to, persevere and wanting to get back into work is really strong, and it really shows how much of how determined you are and how strong you are as a character. And I think that's really great to see. And I think it's something that everyone should at least try and strive for, because I feel like us as humans, we should be determined and we should strive to be stronger and better people. And I think that you doing that is very brave. I think it's very strong. And
thank you.
No, of course. And I'm just speaking for me. I'm sure Boris feels the same. But, I'm very proud
of
you for doing that, because I know it can be hard.
Yeah.
I know it can be very hard.
Yeah,
getting back into that.
It is very hard. It's also, something else, coming here, meeting yourself.
Yep.
And another guy here, he's had a very serious bike accident, hit by a truck. He's lost most of his left body. He can't use most of his left body.
Yep.
He's very young. And he seems happy.
Yeah.
I talk to him and he gets excited about things, and, we have good conversations, and, I can see how challenging things have been for other people, and really how they interact with me. And, I can see they've gone through the dark period as well.
Yeah.
We've discussed those things, and how challenging things have been for them, but how there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I feel like WorkGain has definitely played a part in that for all you guys.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything like that before. You know, there's some good youth programs. You know, that's kind of the thing. There's some really great youth programs around.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you become an adult, it almost feels like there's nothing there for you like that. You're completely on your own. You got to stay strong. You've got to hold it together.
Yeah.
And when you fall, there's no one there to catch you.
Yeah.
You know, especially to help you back up again. And yeah, like I've really been blown away by just how much it's lifted my spirits.
Yeah.
Being here.
Yeah.
You know, and interacting with you guys and you know, I can see that it's doing great things for you as well.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked. I feel grateful to be here. I feel lucky.
Yeah.
Privileged.
Yep.
And I'd like to see other people experience the same thing and have this same privilege as they need it. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think, you know, WorkGain is a great place for people to, you know, people that have unfortunately suffered a workplace accident and are recovering from it. I think WorkGain, I think is a really, really great place to, you know, come and have a chat with Boris and really see what fits for you and what you can do for the future and, you know, different ways you can recover and come back stronger than before.
It's great to have someone listen to you.
Yeah.
And take interest and then go, you know, this is what you need.
Yeah.
You need this because this is who you are.
Yeah. And sorry for cutting you off. Not only is it better for, you know, your mind, but it's better for your soul.
Yeah.
It's better for your spirits, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's you know, it is a light at the end of a tunnel, you know, because as I spoke about before, you know, I really got to that stage where I lost myself.
Yeah.
You know, and then Boris held a mirror up to me.
Yeah.
And said, you know,
here's you.
Here's you, man.
Yeah.
Look where you could go. You can go here, you can go there, you can go there, you can go there, you can go there.
Yeah, there's all these paths you can go down.
Which way do you want to go?
Yeah.
And he's like, mate, we'll get you where you want to go. Where you want to go that way?
Yeah.
We'll get you there.
Yeah.
You know, you want to go that way, we'll get you there.
Yeah.
And so which one do you want to go?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're spoiled for choice.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm lost. Here I am, I'm lost. And then after a couple of meetings with Boris, you're like,
starting to find myself again.
Well, where do I go? I could go that way, I could go that way.
Yeah.
I could go that way, I could go that way.
Yeah.
It's great. It really is.
No, it really is.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
No, anytime, you know, it's always great to hear from, you know, people like yourself, people that are still, you know, recovering and that may, you know, still recovering from a workplace accident. You know, it's great to get insight and it's great to, you know, hear these stories and really get them out there because I feel like stories like these, stories like your own, they need more recognition and, you know, they need more recognition to be put out there so people can learn from these and actually get more, be more educated on it so they know to not be so, like, closed off to it.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well. Like, you know, it's, you kind of, you feel like you're forced to do some things in recovery. You know, it's like, well, I didn't see myself having to do this at this age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was very anxious about coming here.
Yeah.
You know, even after I met Boris for the first time, you know, I was so anxious when I met Boris. I couldn't even. I'd kept losing words.
Yeah.
You know, I'd been cooped up at home for a good 9 months.
Yeah.
10 months. I'd say I'd been cooped up at home, and yeah, it was daunting. But
it sounds
he
tough.
he really picks up on that. And he sees it, and he really makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't stress for that anyone else who's listening to this. It's just take that step, no matter how you feel about it, and just see where it takes you. You know, because there's a lot to offer here. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely with you. I think people that are going through the same thing, I think, you know, get around your friends, get around your family, you know, get around people that are there to help you. you know, if you're willing, come down to WorkGain, have a chat with Boris. He will be delighted to help you.
Yeah.
Because he's done the same for me as to you.
Yeah.
And I think, everyone should, have that. They should have that avenue that's there to help them.
Yeah.
Because we all need help.
We do.
Yeah.
We all need help.
Yeah.
It's so important, to be able to lean on other humans, in your time of need.
Yeah.
And, I think I'll come out of this and people will be able to lean on me when they need to, and I'll be able to share what I've learnt here.
Exactly.
And it's really invaluable. It's really invaluable.
Yeah, no, exactly. But no, again, I thank you for your time. I know
much,
it was
Aaron.
probably a bit tough for you to share your message, but I'm so grateful that you have.
Just don't do a lot of public speaking.
No, that's understandable.
Happy to share my message. But yeah, it's interesting hearing your own voice.
Yeah, I agree. But it was great to have you on here. It was great to have this conversation with you. And if anyone else is going through the same thing and wants to have a chat, come on down. It's completely confidential.
Yeah,
everything here, we can make sure that it'll be completely confidential. So any type of privacy you want, we will make sure that it happens. But thank you so much for joining me. And I think it's really great to have this conversation.
Thank you.